Hello there. Thanks for joining us for Just Scylla. I am so thrilled today because I have an incredible woman in the room with me. Now, a lot of people look at her and see what I see, which is just an enigma. We know her as an enigma in our St. Louis community. She's an immigrant from the Philippines. She is a producer, an amazing writer, a community leader. What can I say about her? As I've gotten to know her, I'm seeing all the layers that are peeling back. And we are having these great conversations in the office about things that impact us as women. And just recently, we had a great one about children. I am delighted to welcome Trish Moiko-Tobin.
Hello.
Hi. I'm so excited. I can't believe you said yes to doing this.
Well, okay. I'm not going to say how I was persuaded. But no, this is going to be fun.
This is going to be fun. And it's going to be fun even more for me because I have seen glimpses of who you are as a person. And you're this amazing society woman. You are so well connected. You're so well put together.
Oh, boy.
And I always say the person behind that perfection is so intriguing for me. And we've had talks about all kinds of different things. But today, I want to start with a topic that I'm seeing a lot of. Women making the decision not to have children. Career women in particular is what we're going to focus on today. And Trish, you made the decision that children were not going to be a part of your life journey. Why?
All right. Wow. What a hard-hitting question right off the bat. Well, actually, Dave, my husband, and I made the decision. It just wasn't an individual decision. And I don't think there was a point in time where we decided, all right, we're not going to do this. Kind of like when we decided to get married, there was no formal proposal or anything like that. We just kind of came to this agreement that this is what we want to do. We want to get married. So same with having children. It just kind of evolved into that. Right now, just kind of looking back, for this year, it'll be 23 years for us married.
Wow.
So I've had a lot of time to look back and to just kind of see what our life has been. And it made me look at especially that decision. And again, it wasn't really a decision. It was just a feeling that I had, and then a feeling that I came to learn that he too had.
Really?
Yes.
What was the feeling? I mean, that's a huge feeling to have for such a major life decision. Because I know you as a decision maker. Right. You're very structured. And it sounds...
this wasn't one of those. It was just one of those things. As you grow as a couple, you realize what you want and what you really might not want. And I remember, we got married really young. We were college sweethearts. And I came from a large Filipino, not just Filipino, but Catholic family. And that was one of the first questions right off the bat, right after the wedding. When are you going to have kids? And it's not taken as offensive or anything like that. It's just one of those things. It's a given. You get married, you have children. And, right at the time, I was starting out my career. And I think at the time, because I was young and impressionable, and that's what everybody around me was saying and was talking about, it made me think I wanted children because that was what you needed to do.
Right.
You get married, you have kids. And I really felt that. And I don't even call it pressure because I didn't feel pressured by it. It was just an observation. When Dave came with me to Manila to meet my extended family for the very first time, and that was about 2 or 3 years into our marriage, and that was really pretty much all they asked him. When are you going to have children?
Where do you think for him it came from? Because there's no way that the two of you could just decide this is not for us. Were there family dynamics that made you decide it's too hard, we really don't want to go down this path? Do you think your decisions and his were the same, or did you understand each other's backgrounds enough to know that you didn't want children for your lives?
I think, understanding each other's backgrounds is an evolving thing. At this point in our marriage, we're still trying to understand each other's backgrounds. But there are things that you hear about and you talk about that come up. And Dave is, if you think I'm an enigma, oh my gosh, you have to meet my husband. He is like many men and not very open and, open about their feelings, open about their past. If it's something unpleasant, especially, they don't want to talk about it. And my husband is, he just likes to avoid any unpleasantness or conflict of any kind. So, and this is something that I've learned and I've understood as our marriage progressed. He became more open, and now, we're open.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But again, we were young when we got married. And I think for the first few years, there was this feeling that, we have kids because, it'll make my mom happy, that kind of thing. So if it happens, it happens. And then we discovered traveling. We discovered we like to do this, we like to do that. And you know what? The first Valentine's Day that we celebrated as a married couple, I was gifted a puppy, and we named her Corky.
Oh, that's so cute.
And Corky, Corky was my little daughter. We got her as an 8-week-old puppy. And so every time we would go on one of our trips, Corky would have to be left off at her grandparents' home, my parents' home. And I realized even with that, I had this apprehension. I didn't even trust my parents with a dog. Mm-hmm. And it's not that they're not trustworthy. It's just me. And I think it's part of me being, liking to be in control of things.
So did you think that it was something you couldn't do well?
I don't think so, because I am motherly. I have that, with my little cousins, and some babies. I say some babies because not all babies appeal to me.
Yeah.
It wasn't that. Because I see that now with my nieces and nephews, that I can be as motherly as I can. But again, one of those things you come to appreciate in later life is, as my nephews grow up and as my little niece grows up, you love them to death. You love spending time with them, but maybe only for 2 hours. Mm-hmm. And then you want to give them back. And that is...
You felt that really strongly.
Yes. And I'm appreciating that now because now they're here. Now it's tangible. And we love the arrangement we have with their parents. Okay, I feel like spending time with this nephew today. And then after a couple hours, here you go.
So it sounds like you've made this decision together. Mm-hmm. And then what happens next? Did you go and talk to your families about it? When they asked, what did you say? Because there's that pressure. A lot of pressure comes from the outside, no matter how good the decision is for your relationship.
That's true, but it's about us. It's not about them. So we didn't really care what people thought. And I know people were thinking things, especially for my family. I think people were afraid to ask. There were some, and I told them, well,
And that makes sense because I was afraid to ask.
Yes.
Because I didn't know the reason. And so when you told me the reason, it threw me back a little bit because I thought, okay, usually when a woman decides not to have children, it's not a decision. There's a medical issue.
Right.
They've tried everything. And it's such a sensitive topic to bring out. But as you know me, I just ask. And,
right.
No,
it was, my mom, I felt, for all this time, wanted to know. But I think from where she's coming from, not only did she not want to be intrusive, she also did. I think I was getting the feeling that she didn't want to hear why. And she finally asked me at one point. My mom is now gone. She's been gone for 5 years now. She did ask me. And at the time, I don't even remember my direct response. But, and this was at a time when I didn't have nieces nor nephews yet. And I just said, well, you know what? We're happy with our lives right now. And we're fine. And I said, and I think if we want children at this point, I think we're going to adopt.
Wow, you considered adoption? Or
yes,
to appease her a little bit?
Mainly to appease her, but also, when it became to be that, in our mid-30s, I told Dave, I said, you know what? If we ever decide we want children, I think we should adopt. Because there's so many children who need, because we love our dogs and we adopt our dogs. And it's bad to say, you compare the dog situation with the child situation, but the need is there. There are children who need homes. They need parents. And we were at a point where we were both earning through our careers. And if we wanted to, we could. And he just nodded his head and said, yeah, we could do that.
How did you get through the part where your friends are having children and your friendships are transitioning because interests are changing? How did you handle that?
Well, actually, the friends that I do stay close to, they've been really cool about it. They're not just mothers. They were my friends before they became mothers. And so when we do get together, we talk about their kids. Of course, I'm interested because they're my friends and I want to know, that's a major part of their lives. But I think the friends that I do get together with, they are sensitive enough to, I don't think any of my close friends have ever asked me why.
What is the most inappropriate thing somebody has said to you about your decision not to have children?
A few people have asked me point blank, why don't you have children? Is there a problem? And, these are mainly the older generation, friends of my parents, older relatives. And I just look at them and say, well, we're fine. We're happy. We're doing what we want to do.
And your life is so full. It is so full. I mean, I can totally see how your decision and your journey is exactly what you wanted. You spend time, you're really into your work. You love what you do it really well.
Thank you.
You're really into the community. You're really into spending time with your significant other. I admire your relationship because you spend time together. You pick fruit. You go to shows. You do all this stuff. So it's a really full life.
And now that you mentioned that, another part is probably a little bit of selfishness on my part. Whenever my husband is home, I want him. I don't want his attention on anyone else. Sometimes even, when he's petting the dog, honey, I'm over here. That kind of thing. I mean, that's just the way our relationship is. So that may be another part of it.
And usually it's the other way around. Because coming from somebody with children, when you have children, your husband feels left out. And
that's what I've heard. I've
Yes.
never experienced that with him. But maybe I'm the more selfish of the two of us. Perhaps, who knows?
But it's working because you've been together for 23 years and this is how you want to live
Yes.
your lives.
Yes.
What would you tell somebody who does feel the pressure to have children? We're at a time when I personally feel that women should make decisions about their bodies, whether you want to have children or not, whether you want to, all these, whatever you want to do with your body. Some topics are very controversial in the news. I'm a believer that a woman's body is hers to decide what to do with. And so even as I talk to you about this, there's an admiration because it takes somebody really brave to say, I don't care what anybody thinks. I don't want to have kids. It's not for me.
Well, the thing about that is it was a journey. The older I get, the more I don't care. So when I was younger, it bothered me a bit just because it was coming, from every angle. Why aren't you having kids yet? You've been married 2 years. You've been married 5 years. You've been married 10 years. But what I do want to say is the pressure, for the most part, 90% of the time is coming from the outside. And the important thing to me is my husband and my relationship with him. Just as long as the two of us are on the same page. That's all I really care about.
What keeps your relationship healthy?
Boy, I think we've been very, very fortunate that the two of us really just have the same interest. And I'm not just saying that, people say that a lot, but we do. We love the same music. We love to travel. We love wine. We love music. We love dogs. Everything. And he's a news hound, not in the way that I am as a journalist, but he absorbs everything. And I can have an intelligent conversation with him. And I think for the most part, and we have talked about this before, a lot of the reasons that we don't hang around with certain people is there's nothing there. They're not deep enough. And I think that I've been very, very fortunate with him.
I would say so too. And he's fortunate with you because you guys are amazing together. And in the next episode, we get to know more about you because this is actually the start of a conversation where Trish branches off into her own podcast. I really want you guys to get to know her because outside of all this perfection that she is, inside.
No, don't put me on
that's how
that
it looks
pedestal.
like.
Oh my gosh.
That's what I've experienced. But I'm telling you, it's women like you who inspire me because I can sit down and have a conversation and just see the depth that you have as a human being. And I can't wait for people to be able to experience that because when you do tell, it's really empowering. So we'll see you on the next episode.